Hello, my friends, my family, my community, my tribe. Welcome to the Hippie Moms Podcast. Hi, how are you today? Thank you for tuning in. I'm so excited you're here. If you had listened to episode number 5, I talked about the 7 fundamentals of health and the 7 things that are vital for true wellness. That was actually the topic for number 5. And here's what they are. Your indoor air quality, right? Your breath, your breathing, you have to have air. Amount of water, that's the next thing. You need water, clean water, hydration. Your body needs that to function. You need clean food. You need food that is not tainted with chemicals. You need to move your body. You need to reduce your stress and manage your stress, and you need connection. And number 7 is kind of mentorship. And one element I didn't mention, but we will move into at a later podcast, is sleep. But the beautiful thing is when you start to kind of look at all these things that we're going to be talking about and start to make improvements in each area of your life, you're going to get better sleep, okay? But we'll talk about the importance of sleep. And but today we're going to talk about our indoor air. Now, here's the thing. According to the EPA, our indoor air is 2 to 5 times more toxic than our outdoor environment, right? I mean, it's crazy, especially if you live in a polluted city. Most likely your indoor air is even more polluted. And here's the thing, 90% of our time of Americans live indoors. So if you look back to our ancestors, hundreds and thousands, and if not hundreds of thousands of years ago, we were living with the earth. We slept on the ground, we walked barefoot, we were constantly in nature. And now as humanity has evolved, or maybe devolved, we are separated from earth. We're separated from nature. And so we move into our isolated ticky-tacky houses, right? If you guys ever saw Weeds, it was a series. It was a really funny series about this housewife that just couldn't make ends meet. She started selling marijuana. It was so funny. The first seasons are really good, and then it got stupid. But the beginning of the song, they talk about ticky-tacky houses, and I always remember that. And it's like, here we are living in these, these isolated areas, these isolated spaces, and we're just not outdoors anymore. We've become so disconnected. And so we become disconnected with the air that we breathe. And that's the number one element that we have to have in order to live, right? We have to have air. Nobody can live without air. Okay. I just saw this crazy, I didn't watch all of it, but it was a documentary on Gaia called Eat the Sun. And it's about these people that literally get all their energy from the sun. They look and stare at the sun and they don't eat any food. And part of me, I'm like, that's awesome. Like, I love food, and my whole life identity would be completely, I'd be in complete discombobulation if I did not have food in my life, because I love food so much. I love talking about food. I love creating food. I love teaching people about food. But I mean, could you imagine not ever having to worry about like feeding your face or your family's face? And we'd just be like, all right, everyone, let's get up in the morning and go stare at the sun. Yeah, I mean, part of that, I'm like, yes. And then other parts of me, I'm like, food is such a beautiful way to share space with people. Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I have my Saturday, I have a group of women, family that we spend time with. So, and we always have breakfast and coffee and, so anyway, I'm kind of getting off the train here, which I do, but my point is that we need to really focus on our air quality. Okay. And that's what we're going to be talking about. So let's get back there. Okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about is indoor sources of indoor air pollution. And this is really important. And what I'm going to do is we're going to kind of talk about them. You can kind of see if this applies to you or not. And I'm going to give you simple ways to just clean up your air in your house. And for some of you, like for example, exposure to mold, that's something that's hard to remedy. So I'm not going to dive in a lot on that because I'm not an expert. But in the show notes, I will put a woman, I cannot remember her name. She's a doctor that I follow. Hopefully it'll come to me. And she talks a lot about mold. So I'm going to put a reference to her in my show notes just because I can't remember her name, but she's a mold expert. Okay. All right. So sources of indoor air pollution. Now here's the thing. When I used to live in Scottsdale, and we lived in this cul-de-sac, and we lived right by this kind of main road. It was a tertiary road, so it wasn't a main road. It wasn't a secondary road. It was kind of like the third road where a lot of people would travel. And one thing I really started to notice when I moved there is we would get a lot of pollution from this road. So, we would close the back doors and we would not have a lot of airflow. But when I started to understand how our indoor air is even more toxic, I started to open up the windows. And I always worried about that, but I will say that, because you are in a space that is isolated, that there's not a lot of movement of air, it's so important to keep that airflow moving through. So if you do live by a highway, maybe I wouldn't suggest opening up. I would look at other ways to really clean up your air, like indoor air filters. But if you live near roads that are maybe traveled but not heavily traveled, you're going to be okay. All right. I just wanted to touch on that. So some of the sources of indoor air pollution, one of them is radon. And this is a noxious gas, and it comes from the soil and bedrock, actually below our homes. And it actually can be in some building materials. And so this exposure is the number one cause of lung cancer in non-smokers, and the second cause of development of lung cancer overall. So this is kind of a big thing. It's showing that radon causes about 21,000 lung cancer deaths each year. I mean, that's not that much, but it's something that you can just think about. And so if you're going to buy a new home, and this is what I would have done if I was really conscious of this, is just to get a home air quality test. I would have my home tested for mold. I would have these things done before I go in and buy a house. And is it a little bit expensive? Yes. But I really feel that it really puts the mind at ease. So it's something to consider. Now, if you're like, do I have it or not? Listen, I will not follow these other sources and tips, but this is like the number one, it's kind of a big cause of air pollution indoors. So I had to bring it up. Now, of course, the second one is tobacco smoke. Don't smoke inside your house. I mean, really, you shouldn't be smoking at all. But, to each their own. But don't smoke inside your house, especially if you have kids, because kids are so sensitive to secondhand smoke, can trigger asthma and other respiratory health issues. Okay, so we kind of know that. Mold, we're gonna get to that in the show notes. You're gonna kind of explore that. Because mildew and viruses thrive indoors, it's really important to treat mold. So even black mold. So what I do is if you smell things that are moldy, if you see mold in your bathrooms, just be cautious of that and take care of it right away. One of the tips that we do is under our sinks is we just put a towel underneath there, like one of those white, towels that you clean things with, whatever. And the beautiful thing is that I just check them. And if there's any wetness, I know. That's a big thing is you want to check under your sinks because you can have leaks and slow trickles and mold can start to be created through that wet environment. So just kind of keep an eye on it, be conscious, be aware. A big cause of indoor air pollution is that you have poor ventilation. That's why it's so important, like over your stove, to make sure you have ventilation there. If not, what I do is I open, at our cabin, we don't have it. I open up all the windows and use a fan. So I make sure that gets ventilated. So one of the things that's a big source of indoor air pollution is household products. Okay. This is a big one. And I feel like we could spend a whole episode on this, and we eventually will. But It's estimated that the average home has about 63 synthetic chemicals, okay, for a total of 10 gallons of hazardous material just inside your house, okay? Have you ever been to Target or Walmart, right? And have you ever walked into the cleaning area or even Costco and you just get this overwhelming scent of synthetic chemicals? I can't even do it. Okay, I can't even walk in those areas. Like, I just can't do it. I can't walk in there. It's so toxic. These are synthetic chemicals that are not created for the human body, all right? They're created to kill bacteria, kill viruses. Well, the thing is, as a human being, okay, I want you to think about this. You are a universe of microorganisms, okay? You're not just you. You are a host to trillions of organisms, all right? Bacteria, viruses, fungi, protozoa, all these beautiful little beings, microscopic beings live in your body and create harmony or disharmony, right? And so when we are around these chemicals kill our microbiome. They kill these trillions of beautiful little beings that make us healthy. And then we're breathing that. It's getting into our lungs. So one of the most important things is to not use pesticides, cleaners, paints, varnishes, and air fresheners, right? Especially those air fresheners and candles and incense, because all of these distribute toxins throughout the entire home. And a lot of cleaners contain glycol-based ethers, terpenes, and other toxic ingredients that are actually found in indoor air, okay? And this can cause allergies and asthma. So this is a big thing. So one of the things that I teach to a lot of my clients when we're looking at, how to get better products for a house, if you ever look at any type of label on anything and it has fragrance or perfume or anything like that, don't buy it. There's a great site. I'm going to put it in my in the show notes, ewg.org. It's environmentalworkinggroup.org /skin deep. And you are going to find it's an amazing resource. You can go on there. You can put in the products that you use now. And on a scale from 1 being not toxic at all to 10 being extremely toxic, you can see where your products rate. So it's really important to know, are your products that you're using, are they safe? Are they getting into the air? Are you exposing yourself and your family to chemicals that is not good for your body, right? I don't want to say killing your body, but it's killing the microorganisms in your body. And so this is why it's really important to start look at what cleaning products am I using, right? And that's kind of where we're starting. We'll go into like what toothpaste and what things am I slathering all over my body. But really, it's really important to look at what chemicals are you using. So really, let's talk about synthetic air fresheners for a moment. So synthetic air fresheners like Glade plugins, I'm going to go to a story real quick and then I'll go back here. So I remember we were looking for a kindergarten for my eldest son to go to. And we went to the public school, our local public school, and I am not against public schooling at all. We chose not to do it because is not in alignment with our with how we want our kids to be raised. That's a whole other, again, episode. But I go into this kindergarten and I meet with the teacher and we go in. I am not kidding. I open the door and there is this rush of synthetic fragrance that comes over me. I go in, I can't even breathe. I asked the teacher, I'm like, excuse me, are you using any like Glade plugin? She's like, oh yeah, I have 4 here. She's like, it kills all the bacteria and especially in the air, it kills all the bacteria in the air and especially during the winter, it really helps. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. Then I look over, there's like Lysol wipes, antibacterial hand soap, a big thing of goldfish. And that was my sign. It was the goldfish. I was like, no. And I was like, you know what? This just isn't going to work. I'm sorry. And actually I asked her, I'm like, would you be open to using essential oils if I provided you diffusers and oils to use? And she said, yeah, she was unaware. Most people do not know that these synthetic air fresheners that are sold on stores are so toxic for you. And they are linked to cancer. Studies show that estimated cancer risk from this exposure is insane. And so any type of Glade plugins or synthetic fragrances, get rid of right now. Go and find them in your house and throw them in the trash, okay? Because what they're doing is they're not cleaning your air. They're actually making your air more toxic, okay? Super, super, super important. Now I'm going to touch on quickly, furnishings and paint. This is a big one because I think this is one of the most expensive things that you can try and go do is buy new furniture, right? Because you're not going to do that. But as you move forward, you want to find furniture that hasn't been sprayed with flame retardants. And this is the thing, our mattresses are doused with flame retardants. So there's a lot of great mattress companies now. TNC, Tuft and Needle is where we get our kids' mattresses. Avocado mattress, I think, is one. There's a lot of different brands out there that are now selling chemical-free mattresses. So, and that's a big one, I think, because if you're sleeping on it, that's a huge thing. You are on that for 7, 8, 9 hours a night, your whole life. And so that is a really big thing to consider when you're going to buy a new mattress. Get one that is not full of flame retardants and tons of chemicals on it, okay? So let's see, what else? And that's the thing with, furniture too. Buying actually furniture that is secondhand is actually better than buying it new. And especially when furniture gets cuts or rips, that foam inside of it, the foam in your furniture and carpets may be emitting a lot of those chemicals continuously. So cover those tears and stuff up so it's not putting it into the air. Okay? All right, perfect. Okay, so those are kind of the biggest sources, and also building materials, right? The materials that we use. Asbestos is one of them. Thank God we're not using that anymore, but formaldehyde is still found in pressed wood that's used for shelving and furniture. And that's a big thing. The largest source of formaldehyde in the home is the glue that holds the wood particles together. So that, just start to think about this as you start to, buy new furniture and start to shift. This is not something you can be like, okay, I'm going to sell my furniture and get new ones. I get it. It's impossible. But just be conscious of it. Don't stress about it, right? Because the stress caused by worrying about it is what? It's going to cause more harm to you than anything that you're breathing in, okay? So now we're going to talk about how do we actually help what are some natural solutions to help our indoor air pollution, okay? So the first one, obviously, you want to get rid of the source, okay? You want to get rid of any type of synthetic fragrances. I mean, I went to Target the other day and they had garbage bags, plastic garbage bags, scented, fragrant garbage bags. Okay, don't buy that crap. I mean, it's insane. You don't need anything with scents unless it's legitimately essential oils, okay? So that's a really big thing you can do is start buying cleaner household products. My favorite absolute household product that I use is Thieves Cleaner by Young Living. Yes, I'm a distributor because I love the product so much. And everyone asks me, what do you use? What do you use? So I'm like, well, I'm going to share this. So I might as well, make a little commission on it. But it's really important and to use cleaners that are not putting those chemicals. So Thieves Cleaner is fantastic. A lot of cleaning agents are greenwashed. So you go and buy them. They have these, flowers and natural and blah, blah, blah. It's like they look greenwashed. Use the ewg.org website and start to research the cleaning products that you already use and look for options that are better for you. Okay, I promise this is a huge step that is going to benefit you so much, and it's pretty simple. So once you get done using all your 409 and Windex and Comet cleaner, right? That's what my parents still use. It drives me nuts, and they're actually making shifts too. We had to live with them for, I'm going to pop into a story here. When we moved to Albuquerque, we lived with my parents for 3 months while our house was getting completely remodeled and done, blah, blah, blah. And I remember they had the cleaning lady come over, and I go into the house and I can barely breathe. I start, my throat starts getting scratchy. Like my nose starts getting really congested. I start to get a really bad headache. And I'm like, Dad, listen, I will clean the whole freaking house with my cleaning products because I can't do this. And he's like, oh, I don't even notice. They have a huge jug of 409 and Windex. And the thing is, most people don't know. They just don't know. So this is one of the parts where I'm just telling you so that you're not using these products around your kids that are in fundamental stages of development, right? We don't need to use those types of cleaning products. There's so many great other options, and it's worth every amount of effort and investment for your health, okay? All right. Some really good ideas too is make sure you're cleaning your air conditioners and your air filters. Make sure you're cleaning those regularly and when you're supposed to. Never buy scented items. I already talked about that. Even those scented candles, awful. Get rid of those, right? If you're going to do anything, diffuse essential oils. If you really want something to smell good in your home. A lot of people, what I've seen do too is put a cinnamon stick and some orange peels and some cloves in a saucepan and boil that. That's a great way to have beautiful scents in your home. You just got to make sure you watch the boiling water, right? Because you don't want to forget about it. That's why I love the diffusers. I love diffusers. Again, I use Young Living, but there's great other essential oil companies out there. Use high-grade therapeutic essential oils, okay? And then that is just going to help clean the air and make it smell amazing, okay? Open up your windows. Open up your doors. Get fresh air in daily. If there's part of the day where it's a little bit warmer or a little bit cooler, open up your windows and your doors so that you can get fresh air. It can be one of the most simple things that you can do to get fresh air in through the house, okay? Awesome. So purify your air naturally. Make sure you're looking through your products. Make sure you're dusting and you're vacuuming. This is really big because a lot of these toxins in our house get into the air and then they settle down into the dust. So make sure that you're just wiping counters and different surfaces with a wet cloth. That's the biggest thing I do. I never use dusters. I use something wet because it traps it. It gets it in there. I vacuum regularly. I have dogs too. Dogs are great, actually. They're really good for your microbiome, your gut, your health, because they bring in a lot of different bacteria in. So highly recommend having dogs. But I have to vacuum all the time because my dogs are so freaking hairy and they literally shed everywhere. It's so annoying. There's always like little, I call him Dallas is my best bud. And I always see little Dallas balls everywhere. So vacuum, and then I use a mop. And then what I do is I get a wet white towel and I use the mop to move that around on the floor with my thieves cleaner. And it just, you know what? Doing that once a week, every couple weeks, doing it as much as you can, right, is so important. So make sure you're doing that, you're getting the dust, and that is just going to help your air quality so much. The next thing I want to recommend is household plants. Oh my gosh, household plants can literally remove pollution in your air. There is so many incredible plants. I'm going to put another one, I actually talked about this earlier. I'm going to put another article on the plants that actually are really good at moving air, eliminating air pollution. So check that out, just so that you can, figure out different plants that you have. I just went to Home Depot and I just look around and we have plants everywhere and I've just collected them over time. You don't have to go and buy 15 plants right now. Buy one, right? Put it by your bed. I like to put them by our beds and in our rooms because that's where we spend a lot of time when we're sleeping. So do that. And I think that's just one of those things that just really helps. Okay. One of the biggest things I'm gonna end on is your laundry stuff, the stuff that you use. That's a big one because you're sleeping in your sheets, right, all night long. So conventional laundry detergents, fabric softeners, air fresheners, dryer sheets, they all can emit these gases that go into the air. So use that ewg.org website to make sure that your products you're using are clean, okay? Awesome. All right, I hope you're not feeling overwhelmed. Pick one or two things, just become aware of it and start making little shifts in your life, all right? Focus on the air quality. Buy a plant, open your windows, vacuum and dust. Really, that's, if you're already doing those things, good for you. Give yourself a hug, pat yourself on the back, right? It's just the simple things that we can do to make our health healthier. Make our health healthier. And get outside. Get into nature more, okay? Get your feet on the earth. Spend more time in nature so that you can get all of that good, fresh, clean air filled with beautiful microbes that our body needs, all right? That's what you need to do. Okay, awesome. So the next episode, we'll be talking about water. I'm so excited to be talking more about this stuff. Thanks for geeking out with me, by the way. If you're here, I just love it. I love talking about this stuff. I love helping people figure out how to make their health better, to create more wellness in their lives, and to take action, right? Take responsibility. That's what you're doing. Okay, I love you all. Thank you for joining me, and I will, let's connect on the next Hippie Moms podcast. Right on. See you later. Bye.